In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut a stylish bustier with a structured asymmetric design in front. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section. And this dress is from Chen Stitches on Instagram. So to start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark out my measurements. So I have marked my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, and I added extra 5 inches for the blouse length. Although I'm still going to adjust one side to give it an asymmetric hemline at the other side. So now I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2 and add ½ inch, come down by 1 inch here. Here I'll mark a neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches and I'll go ahead to connect. So after connecting, I'm going to connect from this point all the way to that 1 inch here. Now after marking that, I'll find my armhole or chest line, and to get that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll place my tape and mark what I have. So I have 7 inches and I'll place my ruler and draw a straight line there. So from here, I'm going to place my tape and mark back what I have on the shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Now I'll place my ruler, connect this all the way up. After connecting at this point, I'll place my tape, divide my armhole into 2, come in by ½ inch. Here I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll connect from here all the way up and connect from the bust circumference to the midpoint of my armhole. Next is to mark my dart, which I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 all the way to the blouse length of this pattern, and I'll place my ruler to connect right all the way up. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to divide my shoulder into 2 equal parts, and I'm going to make a mark at the midpoint of that pattern. Go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect from the bust all the way to the shoulder. Now after I'm done marking, the next step I'll take is to mark my dart intake of 1 inch on both sides of my pattern, and I'll extend this all the way to the lower part. After marking this, I'll place my ruler, connect to the upper part and also connect to the other side of my pattern. I'll place my curve drew, connect from the bust to the under bust. While connecting, make sure you come down by 1 inch or half before connecting to the under bust. Now I'll place my tape and mark 2 inches above my chest line. You can decide to take your measurement from the shoulder point. So this is where my bustier will start, and I'll mark my dart intake of 1 inch on both sides, and I'm going to connect this to this side and also connect at the other side of my pattern. Now after I'm done connecting, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to outline my pattern. After I'm done marking this out, I'll go ahead to insert my measurement. At the bust, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now this dart I have here is what I'm picking, and I'll add this to the side because I don't want the side of my pattern to have an excess. Then add any sewing allowance. I'll use ½ inch because this has a conical effect by the side also. Now mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add ½ inch for your sewing allowance. Here, mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake you have here, replace it here, add ½ inch to your pattern. Now at the blouse length, you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4. That is your round hip measurement. Divide it by 4 and mark. Measure this dart intake you have here, replace it and add your sewing allowance, right? So after marking that, go ahead to place your ruler to connect. After I'm done marking that, I'll connect from the bust to the under bust to the waist and to the blouse length. Next, I will mark my bust dart. Now take the measurement from your shoulder to waist in front and measure your shoulder to waist at the back. Now minus your shoulder to waist at the back from that of the front. My shoulder to waist at the front is 17, while the back is 15.5. If I deduct that 15.5 from 17, I will have 1.5. That is what I marked for my bust dart. So from here, I'll connect this all the way to this point. and from here I'll connect to the armhole of my dress. Now I'll go ahead to tighten the yoke of my pattern by coming up by 1/2 inch here, and I will mark, right? And what I'll now do is to measure how wide I want the shoulder part to be, and I'll reconnect it here. So remember that mark I have in between the shoulder and the bustier area is actually a dart intake of 0.5, which I'm outlining here to tighten the yoke part to avoid it from gaping. Now you look at the way I slanted it to the armhole. You notice I didn't cut that of the armhole, I just slanted it towards there. Now to have this conical effect here, I'll add an extension of 3 inches to my hip, that is the blouse length, and I'll connect from the waist all the way to that point. So after I'm done marking at this point, the next step I'll take now is to go ahead to like come down a bit from here to give this point, this center part, like a slight pointy edge, and then I'll connect going up. Now at this part of this your blouse, you notice there's like a conical effect there that went up, so I went up by 2 inches, and I will connect it back to my blouse this way and outline the side of my pattern. I'll go ahead to outline my pattern, and this is what I have. Right now, this is my center front and side front, and I'll go ahead to mark all these measurements on the other side of my pattern. So what I'll do now is to open up my pattern, and we'll go ahead to work on it. So this is the part that has the asymmetric shape. So when I'm cutting my bustier, I'll use one side to cut my pattern on fold. Then I'll now draw out the asymmetric design here and draft it out, right? So, and here I'll just cut it on fold, right? So let's go ahead to work on this side. So from here I'll start connecting all the way to the other side, and I'll blend out my dart here because you're going to be joining this part of your bustier, right? Now from here I'm going to connect it going to the other side. So you want to close up this your dart and go ahead to draw out the asymmetric shape at the upper part. So I'll just go ahead to use my pencil to outline. If I'm not okay with what I have, I'll go ahead to readjust my pattern. Now I'm just going to connect from here going all the way up to the upper part where I want it to stop. Then I'll start connecting it back close to the center of my bustier pattern. Now when you get to this point, you notice like a slight curve heading towards the other side of your pattern, right? And from this point now I'll extend the middle to have this slight protruding or pointy edge there. So after cutting or marking out at this side, I'll go ahead to blend it out, extend it down, blend my darts at this point, and I'll reconnect it coming from here to this side. So just like I said, I'll use this side now to cut out the structured asymmetric design on it, sorry, while I'm going to use the other side of the bustier and I'm going to cut it on fold. Now if you're not okay with the design we have here, you can easily go ahead to readjust. There's always room for readjustment before going ahead to transfer to your pattern. Now just blend it once again and then reconnect. Now after this, I'm just going to cut out my pattern. This is the part that I'm going to use to cut out the design on top of the dress. So after drafting this out, I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern. Now blend out your darts when you're also cutting out. So if you have any question regarding this pattern drafting, please kindly go ahead to leave your question at the comment section. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please kindly hit on the subscribe button. After cutting out, you have to join this on top. So just like I said, I will be cutting the other side, and whatever you're going to cut, make sure you start from the middle point. Then I'll cut this when I'm transferring to the pattern. Like when you're transferring to the pattern, go ahead to cut this on fold, right? just like when you're drafting your normal bustier pattern and you're transferring your measurement, you normally cut it on fold. This is what I'll be doing on this part of my pattern. I don't want pull no trigger. I just want this, cause I can place. I don't want no. So after cutting out, this is what I have. I'm writing on fold, and this will be the design on top. Now moving over to the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out my measurements just like we did for the front. I have the shoulder to bust waist, and I added extra 5 inches for my blouse length. And I also marked out my shoulder divided by 2 plus half, and I marked my basic neckline of 3 by 1.5 for the back pattern, right? So after I'm done marking this, what I'll do now is to start inserting my measurement. So for this pattern, I'll be cutting it in form of a dartless pattern to make it very easy. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and then add half inch to it. Now after marking that, I'll be moving over to the waistline, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, add half inch, mark my hip circumference divided by 4, add half inch, and also the 3 inches for the conical effect at the lower part. Now after marking this, I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to connect my pattern. After connecting this from the bust to the waist, I'll place and connect all the way to the hip of this pattern, right? So after I'm done cutting, marking this, I'll bring out my front pattern, merge up the hip area so that I'm going to have the similar design to the back, so that when I'm joining it, I'll have the same effect. So I'll just extend this all the way to the back pattern of this dress. Now after I'm done extending it, I'll now go ahead to mark the lacing. So the opening you want depends on you. You can use 1.5, 2 inches, and I'm just going to blend it out after marking out the lacing. Now I'll place my ruler and I'm going to connect this all the way to the upper part. So after I'm done marking this at this point, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to just outline, and I'll make a mark to indicate that this is the lacing area of my pattern. After indicating, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern before we work on the rest of the pattern, right? So after I'm done marking this, I'll outline my pattern, and I'll come down by half inch here, place my ruler, and I'll slant this. This is to tighten the body of the corset, the back part of the corset pattern and that of the yoke, right? Now I'll place my curve drill to draw out the design at the back, and I'll go ahead to connect this way, and I'll also tighten the yoke by coming up by 0.5 or 0.3 inches. This will help the yoke relax at the back of your pattern. Now after I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead to cut this out. So after cutting this out, we have come to the end of today's video. If you have any question, please go ahead to leave at the comment section. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please kindly go ahead to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also join us in our next video. Thanks.